Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, Scotty B. Friends, I am very, very excited to bring in yet one more guest from a court of salt and snow, an amazing and accomplished cosplayer. I have so many things to talk about today, and I'm just going to jump right into it and let you be introduced to our next guest for the show. I have so many wonderful things to talk about here. Thank you very much. Mutchie is joining us today. Shandra, it is wonderful to have you on the show. I have lots of notes here to talk about your background and some of the things that you do. So amazing. You have a master's degree in leadership. You have degrees in science. You are in the Cosplay Hall of Fame with FanX. You were inducted in 2019. You have done amazing work with Forever Twilight in Forks, the Utah Ren Fair, the Tudor Guild as Anne Boleyn. You have created some very complex and ornate cosplays, some of the best that I've ever seen. Just scratching the surface on the accomplishments and some of the work that you've done inside of cosplay. Wow, just so much to talk through here. Yes, please tell us all the things and just how you got into this, your origins, and coming into cosplay.
Okay, and what an amazing introduction, Scott. You're going to make me blush over here.
Well, I'm just being honest, and it's all just factual information that I'm sharing. Yes.
Thank you. That's so sweet. My journey into cosplay really started, I kind of really fell accidentally into it. I really did. It's interesting to look back on my life and just see the themes that were always present. When I was a kid, I loved costumes, and I was that annoying kid in all the theater classes that would always insist on a dress rehearsal even when they weren't necessary. Like people wouldn't even have their full costumes together, and I'd be like, we should do a dress rehearsal because and then I also in high school when I did an advanced theater class when I was in high school. I conned all of my, oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I conned all of my cast members to wear their costumes for the entire day leading up to the performance that night. And my thinking was like, well, we should get into costume and like we should get into character and like, oh, it'll help us so much. But the truth was I just wanted to wear the costume all day. So that was a little sneaky.
Those are things I wish I would have done in high school. You know, I was in theater too. So much fun to be involved in theater all through like freshman through senior year. So fantastic.
I loved the theater, and it's also because, as you can see reflected in my educational history, I'm big into facts and figures and science and truths, right? So I like it when I'm being led by things that are well established. So I liked the theater because it taught me the science behind performance, and that's why I really like those classes. But my journey with cosplay really didn't start until about 2011 was the first time I ever put together a costume, but I didn't know, I had never heard the word cosplay before. And it was for the last Harry Potter movie's midnight premiere. The Harry Potter series is not something that is really meaningful to me. Like I'm not a big fan. I'm not really part of the fandom, but my friends were really big into it. And it was kind of unique for my generation because we were all the same age as all of the Harry and his friends while the movies were coming out. So when I was 17, the last movie came out. And so I decided to go as Professor McGonagall. I really did just throw it together. I was one of 2 people in the entire theater that dressed up, and I got lots of weird looks, and I got lots of those kind of like people would like walk way around me, like they wouldn't like walk close to me.
But I would have thought people would have really like thought that was something. That's
interesting. I would have thought it was so cool. Yeah, like I would have been like, oh, that's so fun. But what it did is it taught me that I really loved putting together costumes. And it wasn't that I liked wearing the costume, it's that I loved the entire thing of planning and creating and executing. Next step of the story, 2014, one of my friends that I went to high school with contacted me out of the blue and said, hey, you're pale, like you're tall and pale. And I said, yes, I am. That's true. She said, I'm looking for someone to play Snow White for like 2 hours on this event that's happening later. You know, will you do it for me? And I was like, yeah, like costumes, I'm in. Sounds great. And I got to this event, and it was a charity event for children that were terminally ill. And I didn't quite understand that concept yet. So I showed up as Snow White, And we all had our princess entrances, and so I walked down the stairs and I'm doing my little princess, like, oh, it's so happy. And this little girl comes running across the bottom of the stairs and gives me this huge hug. And so I kneel down and I give her this huge hug and I pull away so I can look at her, and she's got no hair and she's got scars all across her head and she's got like chemo ports and like all
Oh,
this like
poor
medical
thing.
machinery. And that was when I was like, oh my, like,
Hmm.
I'm like, stay in character. Hi, like, it's so nice to see you. And the Deseret News actually got a photo of the moment shortly thereafter, but that was when I realized how meaningful cosplay could be to these little kids. Um, Weeks and months later, I was getting emails from these parents that would send me their child's obituary, and I was in the photo with their child in their obituary, like, because it was the last time they really saw them like happy or that they
Oh.
were energetic or whatever. And that's when it hit so hard that
Hmm.
cosplay could mean so much more than what it means to me, right? Than the self. It's naturally kind of a self-centered craft because it's all about looking the best that you can, but then I realized I could look the best that I can for other people. Like, it
Hmm.
was kind of a paradigm shifting moment for me. So from that point onward, I really started focusing more on what can I make that would be useful to other people or that they want to see. Or and then I got involved with a lot of 501c nonprofit organizations, which I'm still a part of, and we do hospital visits, hospice visits. Sometimes we attend funeral services, but we mostly do fundraisers and balls and awareness events and all of these amazing fun things that would never have been in my dizziest daydreams as a child. That
It
was exciting.
is such an amazing body of work and so many different areas and different outreach programs that you've made an impact with. I probably will not be able to list them all. I know that you've done extensive charity work. You've worked with Millie's Princess Foundation, Make a Wish, the Tim Tebow Foundation. You've worked on donating hair for children with hair
Mhm.
loss. Just many different and with that one, that's there's a lot that goes into every single one of these things in terms of cancer treatment and alopecia and a lot
Mhm.
of things that I can't pronounce that are really bad that happen to children. And it's so impactful. You're right. It really is. And I love to shine a light on the people that are involved with these things. It is just so amazing. You're taking the time and the effort and the energy not only to use to put together the cosplays, but then you're traveling, you're on your feet all day, and you're
Mhm.
being strong for these children and for their families, and that it goes such a long way with the people that organize the events, with the people involved with the events, and with the people who are just lit up when they see you come in costume as this character. It is so out of this world for most, for children seeing this, and just totally unexpectedly. But so many just amazing things that you've been involved with. So yes, definitely my thanks and just hats off to you and all of the work that you've done. It definitely is a paradigm shift for sure.
Thank you. And it was, and those are some of my favorite things I still do. I mean, to this day, my most popular character is Mary Poppins from the original 1960s. They love the
Oh,
jolly holiday look with the white dress.
it is by far one of the best I've seen.
Mhm.
I worked on the musical
Oh, did you?
a while ago.
Oh,
Yes, actually one of my people in the cosplay community was Mary Poppins. I'll drop her name. It's okay. She'll be fine. T Toxic
okay.
Cosplays is her name, and she did Mary Poppins as the lead. It was just an amazing thing. But I've not seen a better just all. I mean, you nail it
Oh,
as
thank you.
Mary Poppins. The costume and design is really, it just is the movie. It's so good,
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
very
And
good.
it's a which is funny because I'm not, I wasn't a Disney kid. I was kind of learning along with them of okay, and this is who this character is. And I'd never seen Mary Poppins before I started cosplaying her. I got a request at one of the hospitals. They said she loves Mary Poppins. And my first thought is, how do they know who Mary Poppins is? Because like all the grandmas and all the parents know who Mary Poppins is,
Mhm.
but it's because these kids, they live in hospitals. They do. They decorate their rooms. They have beds brought in, and they live in these hospital rooms for 8 9 months at a time, right? And
Mhm.
all they do is watch movies. And a lot of these parents bring all their Disney collections, and now they have Disney Plus, and now they have all these streaming, and so they're watching these movies that like I didn't have access to when I was a kid, um, and it's delightful. So First of all, I'm like fangirling over here that you know the girl that played Mary Poppins because oh, like I love Mary and she's the funnest character to play in the Disney realm for me because she is the perfect balance between having fun and being a little stern. So when I take pictures with all the kids, I'll stand up and I'll say stand up straight and they all go and then like we take a cute picture and it makes everyone chuckle because that's I live for those moments. It's really fun and really sweet to do the hugs and to do the story time and to do all the songs, but I like to make people laugh and Mary is a good person to make people laugh. So I like that.
Definitely would love to hear about how you got into professional cosplay and how you became a Hall of Fame cosplayer. This is amazing.
still still one of the most bizarre things that has ever happened to me ever. I mean, you know when people in the Harry Potter series, you know how they talk about how like when you are generating a Patronus, you have to think of like the happiest memory or like something that shines really bright. Being
Mhm.
inducted into the Hall of Fame is my Patronus memory. In 2014, so the same year that I started doing these princess events, a friend of mine asked if I wanted to go up to Forks, Washington, because they were doing a Twilight festival. Now, I was not really into Twilight, but I was really into Michael Sheen. And I don't know if you know the cast, but Michael Sheen plays Arrow, who is the king of the Volturi.
Why, yes, I
And
do.
I'm so glad you do because he is. If I could show you the walls of my room this way, especially, you would just see.
I really, he's such a great character actor.
Mhm.
Is so good. And yeah, like taking that and then going into yeah, I don't know if you're too familiar with the work that he did with David Tennant on
Oh yes,
Amazon.
oh
I
yes,
love
oh
that
yeah.
series. I can't think of actually what it's called at the moment, but
Staged,
um
yep,
yes.
staged.
Um
Yep.
love the work. But yes, he's fantastic in Twilight. I did have a question for you about which team you were on, but I'm pretty sure I know which team you're on now. That
Mhm.
we've been talking about him. It's definitely not Team Edward and it's definitely not Team Jacob.
Mm-mm.
It's Team Arrow.
It's Team Arrow, most definitely Team Arrow. And so before I jump into Twilight,
Mhm.
let me talk briefly about the how Twilight is meaningful in my life because when I say, "Oh, I started as a Twilight cosplayer," everyone goes, "Mm," because everyone had a Twilight phase. Whether you loved it or you hated it, you had a Twilight phase. We all did. Like
I
it's
did too.
I know we
Yes.
all did. So but so I have a weird personal connection to Stephanie Meyer. I actually grew up down the street from her first cousin and her very best friend.
Oh
I
wow.
grew up in the same church. So before the book was published, we had heard about it because she'd said, "My cousin's writing these vampire books." And we all went, okay, that's okay, cool. So I was one of the first people to read it because the second it came out, like we all got
Wow.
copies, right?
Okay.
And I didn't really like it. I know it's disappointing, but I read it and went, okay, and set it aside. And that was basically it. Next step is in 2008 and 9, I got severely depressed. I struggle with a lot of mental health stuff. I'm actually on the autism spectrum. I know that now, but at the time I didn't know. And I got really depressed and anxious and I was missing school and I was having suicidal thoughts and I was like planning out how I was going to do this. Like I was serious about making my exit. And so my mother, as a last ditch attempt to kind of get me to do something, took me to the movies. And the movie that was playing was Twilight New Moon, the second movie.
Mhm.
And I wasn't paying attention at all because I didn't want to be out of my room. And I had my little slider phone because this is 2009 and my phone died and I was so upset because I was like that was my last reprieve to not have to be out, and so I put my phone away and then I heard a voice on screen and it said, "What a happy surprise, Bella is alive after all." And I look up and I saw Arrow for the first time on screen and I was so magnetized and riveted to this character. I swear I didn't blink the entire time he was on screen. I just was floored by this performance. And so I got his name, the actor's name, went home, looked him up on IMDb, and the rest really is history. I became a huge Michael Sheen fan, and it became life saving to me because I started postponing my suicide basically because I would watch what he was working on. So I would check his IMDb page like every week. I'm not kidding. And look to see what he was working on or what was being released. And that was a great time in his career because he was on like 30 Rock and he was in all these movies and he was in Tron Legacy. And so that
Mhm.
was his stage of his career before he hit like Good Omens, before everyone now knows who he is. But and it got me through those harder years of my life is being a huge Michael Sheen fan. Um and then when I went and then I was able to get like treatment and I was able to get medicated. And so like I made it through those hard years. But so I'm a huge Arrow and Michael Sheen fan, and this is relevant because I went up to this Twilight Festival for that reason. When my friend said, "We should go to this Twilight Festival," I thought, "Okay, but I'm only gonna go if I can do something that's related to Arrow because I do not care about the teenage romance. I do not care about the love triangle. I do not care about the supernatural aspect, but I do love my Vampire King." So I went to Forks in 2014 and I decided I'm going to dress up because of course I am. And so I wore his battle tunic with the cloak. It was my first attempt at this costume and it was not great. It was really a first attempt.
Mhm.
But I decided that I'm not just going to dress like the character, I'm going to play the character because I just loved him so much. And the director of the Chamber of Commerce contacted me after that year and she said, "We really liked the way that you interacted with the guests. Would you be willing to come back in a professional capacity,
Oh,
like an
wow.
official capacity for our festival?" In 2015, the festival rebranded to Forever Twilight and Forks because before then, it was literally just a little like community event that the members of the town put on. Like it was just little themed like happenings and like
Mhm.
little meetups, and it was nothing like it is now where they rebranded to Forever Twilight and Forks. We get sponsorships from around the world. We sell out of tickets within the first couple hours they're on sale. We have had uh, a lot of the stars of the Twilight Saga come to the festival. Like
Wow.
Jackson Rathbone came, and Charlie Bewley, Dan Cudmore. Last year we had the lady that played Irina, and Charlie came last year. So Billy Burt came last year. Carlisle's been here. Like it's this year. Ashley Green is coming. She played Alice, and it's
Oh,
just
I love that
blown up
character.
into this. Oh, I know, and it's blown up into this phenomenon, and I love it. They call it the Twilight Renaissance because this is after the books are, all that initial excitement has come
Right.
out and the movies
Mhm.
have been over for 10 years and people still love it. People still love this thing. And that's why I love my work in Twilight is when I got cast in an official role, I was like, I've got to step it up. And I have. And I've been playing Arrow in Forks since 2016 every year. Yeah, I've almost been doing it for 10 years. And that's a little mind blowing.
And
But
this has led to many other things. And
mhm,
have you done things internationally as a result of this? And then I know that you have notes on being a part of documentaries and
mhm,
podcasts. So this
mhm.
is, I mean, it is very amazing
Yeah,
to to see like just going from something that was relatively small and
mhm,
you wanted to really just try this out. You love this
mhm.
character and it really has a lot of impact and significance for you. And you just did it and it turns into this whole thing. And
It turns, yeah.
that's amazing. Just fantastic. And I guess I see you doing it again and again.
Mhm,
And I know, as we segue into the latest project on A Court of Salt and Snow, which I am just bonkers about at this point. You have done so many amazing things already, and I
mhm,
see history repeating itself again with the Court of Thorns and Roses, which often has been sort of compared to Twilight as far as
mhm,
the way that the books are catching on and catching fire, and things are starting to be looked at as far as like more media, more like a series or movies or something
mhm.
going into this book set. So oh my goodness, like there's so many different things I could say to and I doubt if I could ever do it justice, all of the different things that you've done and all of the
Mhm,
things that you're going to do. But I would love to hear all of just your spin and how you have been a part of A Court of Salt and Snow.
okay.
Again, the book series by Sarah J. Maas. I recommend that everybody just goes out and buys these and starts reading through them. I have to get my copies and start reading this. I've done a little bit. I've been slowly sinking into this, and it sucks you in. Like as soon as you start looking at all of the
Mhm.
different things that are going on with the characters and with the
Yeah,
storyline, and oh, there's so much, so
there's so
much.
much. Mhm. So I found out about it from the Twilight community. Something strange about me is I actually don't read a lot of fiction. I read a lot of nonfiction. I
Mhm.
like facts and figures. I like historical like I like those kinds of things. I like learning while I read. Um, so A Court of Thorns and Roses was starting to peek into the Twilight fandom a little bit, and people were doing all these crossovers and saying, "Oh my gosh, this character reminds me of Edward," and blah blah blah. So I read the book, and by the way, if you're going to read the books, I highly recommend that you listen to the books as well. Just make sure that it's the official narrator, not the cast or not the fan narration.
Mhm.
Just to hear the pronunciation of their names, because for the entire first book, I kept calling her Fyra, like, because it's spelled Feyre. So I was like, Fyra. Like, that's how I thought it was said. But anyway,
I went through a lot of name butchering with Miss Green in the library on our last show, because yeah, I had a list of all of the names, and I think I got about maybe 40% of them right. It was yes. So yes, books on the table will definitely help with pronunciation of
you got
everyone's name.
40% though. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm
Well,
impressed you got that high.
well, it was a good attempt, I guess.
It was a fabulous attempt. So Forks has given me the ability to see the potential of professional cosplay, because Twilight had turned, like you said, international. I got invited to go to Volterra, Italy, which is where my character lives, which is a real city. They didn't film it there. They filmed it a couple hours away in a different city called Montepulciano. The city of Volterra invited me, to come to Volterra and cosplay as my character because he lives there. And we got to turn it into a partnership with Forks and Volterra, like their municipalities and the city Chamber of Commerce got together. And that was, I looked, and there were Volturi cosplayers in Volterra, and they're still my very good friends. And when I met them, they all speak this much English, like Italian. But I was talking to one that speaks pretty good English, and I said, "This is so cool. Like, how did you guys get started in this?" And she said, "Well, we found your stuff, and we all thought we could do that too." And then I was like,
oh wow.
because like that, oh my god, I just, cosplay is something that has brought me so much joy that I don't understand when people get territorial and get possessive about
It
stuff, because
does, yeah.
I'm like, share it with the world, show it with everyone else, because it doesn't matter how good your accolades are. If it can change somebody's life the way that it changed mine, shout it from the rooftops. It doesn't matter to me. So 2019, I got inducted into the Cosplay Hall of Fame. And so then I met Shelly. I met Shelly very shortly thereafter. We live very close to one another, but I didn't meet her until I found her at a cosplay event. And she is delightful, and she is so positive, and she's so motivated, and she's like genuinely kind. You know, when you run into
Oh
those people
yes.
that are just genuinely kind, like
She
she's one of those.
absolutely is just one of the nicest people that you will ever meet in the
God, I
community, outside of the community. She's so smart about
she is.
everything. She's just
Oh, she is.
such a talented writer.
Oh,
I
yes.
could, I guess you really do complement each other
Oh, thank you.
from that respect. Is you're both very just you're so driven in what you do and what you've accomplished, and you're playing off of each other with skill sets that just complement and are going in such a wonderful direction with A Court of Salt and Snow.
I'm so grateful that she looked at me. I mean, because I met her and she was a delightful person. And I met her doing at charity events. And the thing though about charity events is some of the people, you run into a lot of people there, but a lot of people don't stick around just because it can be emotionally taxing, and you do it a lot and those kinds of things. But I kept running into her at these events, and we became friends. And then we do another event up in Idaho every year. It's a fundraiser for a historical theater. And we play last year she did Black Widow. This year she's doing Agatha, and I'm doing Nebula. I've done Nebula both years. And she said the thing about Shelley is a dreamer. She is a big picture thinker. She wants to paint the horizon and everything beyond it. So we're in the car. It's about a 2-hour ride to and from Idaho, and she said, "I have this idea. I really think that we should put together a cosplay group for A Court of Thorns and Roses because it's starting to really jump off." And she said, "The reason I want to do it is because I haven't seen anybody do anything like this for ACOTAR yet." And she wanted to bring the joy of the story to other people. And I found that to be incredibly meaningful, because there are some people that get into cosplay because they want to be known. They want to be the figurehead. They want to be famous. They want to have all these Instagram followers. But Shelley just was like, "I love this story so much that I want to bring an aspect of that to other people." And she came up to Forks with me the year before, or last year, as my handler. So she got to see firsthand how meaningful the cosplayers were to the fans, and like how it brought the story to life. Because in Forks, we have like a full cast of all the Cullens, like the Volturi, we've got the Wolves, we've got the Denalis, like that whole thing. So she said, "I really want to do the same thing with ACOTAR." And the thing about me, if you haven't picked up yet, is I'm a very logical thinker. So I had to kind of go, okay, let's bring it back a little. Like, let's
She did
start.
mention that.
Oh yeah, I was like, let's start small. Like, let's see if we can even find people that are willing to do this. And we did. We have one of the richest, most amazing cosplay communities in Utah. Utah is like one of the nerdiest places, which I love. So we didn't have trouble finding 15 people that were all about this and gung ho. And yes, I will buy the ears. Yes, I will buy the lenses. Yes, I will like put together the whole thing. And then Shelly, bless her heart, immediately starts contacting and being contacted by all of these different groups. And she's the one that went out and found all these events. And she's the one that messaged, I don't know how she found you, but you said you found her. She popped up in your feed, I think you said. So she goes out and she starts making this dream come true. So then we have people messaging us saying, hey, we would love to do a collaboration, or hey, this is really cool. When are you performing? So within months of getting this cosplay troupe together, we are now doing an event in Salt Lake City in May. It's a 2-day event. We are appearing as the entire cast, and people are coming from out of state. There are some people coming from out of the country. This event is like 3/4 of the way sold out. Oh, and tickets start at about $300, by the way.
Yeah, so you can get VIP tickets too for 400. I think it's 400 or is it $399? It's a bargain.
I think that's,
by the way,
it's something like that. Yeah, but I bring that up because like I need you to understand that this is a commitment that these people are making. This is not like an, oh, I'm in the area, let's just go to this event. This is like people are traveling from out of state to come to this event, and we get to be a part of it. Like, oh my gosh, like this is when it took us years in other cosplay communities to even get traction to be able to do anything like this. And the fact that we've only been doing this for a couple months and already we have people being like, we would love it if you would attend our event is, oh my gosh. And it's all because of Shelly. It's because Shelly is the dreamer. Shelly is the one that says, let's reach for the stars. And I'm out here like, well, we need to figure out where we're going first. Like so we have turned into quite the pair. She's the one that says, let's make this happen. And I'm the one that figures out how to make it happen. But she's the fisherman and I'm the guy that's driving the boat. And I think that that's fine. I think that that's great. But we have a full cast. We have 15 characters from A Court of Thorns and Roses. We call our cosplay troupe A Court of Salt and Snow. And we chose that specifically because I like the homonym. I think it's called a homonym when you have the same sounds. But we live in Utah, which is famous for the Great Salt Lake, and it's famous for our ski resorts. I mean, the Winter Olympics were held here, so the salt and snow was what we chose, and it's going to be something. I haven't seen Mania like this since Twilight.
Wow. Yes, it's a lot of hype. People get very excited about everything that goes on here. I love sharing this. I talk about it on live every week, and I have since Shelly came in to start talking about this because I just think it is just such a, well, hopefully not once in a lifetime event, but an annual event that will bring a lot of focus to the series and to your group and just what you can put together and all of the fun and passion and excitement that you bring to this. And it is no easy feat. There is not much, like you have to do everything kind of without visualization because they don't have the movies or anything like that yet. It's all from the books. You're putting all of this together, which is very advanced for cosplay. You're doing all the design kind of just based on descriptions and things like that in the book. And it has so far the continuity, the way that all of the costumes have come together, everything that I've seen, it is so seamless. This is going to be just a wonderful event. So I'm so happy that you came on and you've been talking about this and I've been able to share this with the folks online, just because it is just a fantastic event. I was thinking about going myself actually, just to I'm like, hey, this is, how often do you get to do this? Lots of fun, 2-day events. So much going on. I would love to, because again, the details, there's so much that goes into just putting all of this together. And Shelly is sort of the concept to ground person, but once it's on the ground, there are a lot of details and a lot of different little things that need to be ironed out. And that is kind of where you come in. So you have a more of a technical approach. I think that, like your, for as in terms of from concept to cosplay, you're designing and creating and making patterns and really just creating these characters from scratch in some cases. Would you like to share your process? You can use, any reference would be fine as in terms of just an example, but you have a pretty detailed process that you go through when you're creating a cosplay.
It's really easy to get people to buy into the dream because everyone wants to be a part of something cool. But then when you get the cast in place, you have to start. And I have obviously years of experience of what professional cosplay looks like. And you have to be the one to say, this is what you need to expect. This is how you interact with guests. You can and cannot do these things. You want to have dress rehearsals weeks before. You need like all of those kinds of things, because it sounds super fun, but when you bring a bunch of people to an event and they are interacting with strangers for hours at a time, there's some coaching that needs to go into that.
Oh
But
yes.
regardless, so my process for my cosplay is a little intense, and it has come from years and years of refinement and trial and error. And I can actually send you the link to my FanX cosplay panel that I did a couple of years ago. It was before COVID. No, it was during COVID. Doesn't matter. Last year I got sick and couldn't go, and I was so sad. But the year before that, I did a panel on cosplay for beginners. When you decide that you want to cosplay, that is wonderful. That is awesome. Now is the part where the journey starts. And for me, so let's pick Arrow for instance, because Arrow is in technically he's in 3 of the 5 Twilight movies. He's in the after credit scene for the first part of the second one. He's not in the third one at all, and he makes his debut in the second. There's lots of outfits that he wears, and he has 2 different hairstyles because they are created by different costuming teams, by different design teams, so that he has 2 different looks. Decide what look you want for this character. Princesses are the same way. Anime characters are the same way. Harry Potter characters are the same way. You have to decide what look you want of this character, because it's really hard to say, I'm going to cosplay Queen Amidala from Star Wars. And you go, which one? Because it's not like, they're not like the Jedis where they all wear a uniform, right?
She has she has many different looks.
She has many different looks. I have her Theed Palace look, so the red one from the Phantom Menace. And it was a process and a half, let me tell you. So after you choose a character, you want to start doing lots of research, because sometimes your research can help you determine what kind of look you want to do for this character. For example, there are I'm working on Azula right now from Avatar: The Last Airbender, book 3.
Wow.
I love Azula is love her. But I'm doing her season 3 look, and the reason I picked that look is because I looked at some of her other iterations, because she wears different outfits throughout the series, and I said that's the one that looks the coolest and that I can pull off on my own. So that's why I chose that one. If you can, find an angle, a picture of this character from every angle like this. This was a big piece when I was working on Yennefer from The Witcher 3, is when you turn her around and you go, oh my gosh, the back of this jacket is completely different from the front of the jacket. And that's more professional level cosplay. But do your research, look at the character, look at them in different lighting. Oh my gosh, in the Twilight movie, they all have color filters over all of the movies, and they're all different color filters. Trying to find a photo of this costume not in the gold filter or whatever is a challenge and a half, but try to find as many good reference pictures as you can. Next, you're going to start looking at how are you going to build this. I'm a bargain shopper. I don't like spending inordinate amounts of money on materials, especially because even as a professional, I make mistakes all the time. I can't tell you how many times I have remade gloves or boot covers or hats or recurled wigs or whatever. And because of that, I always go and look for bargains. So I'm always looking for things I can buy in bulk. I'm looking for things that are returnable or exchanged. If your friends have things that they've used, you can ask, where did you get it? Or can I have some of yours? Or that kind of a thing here, which is awesome in a cosplay community like mine in Utah, where I can put out a thing on Facebook that says, I'm looking for Warbler. Does anyone have 1/2-inch Warbler? And everyone will go, yeah, here it is. Or I got mine from wherever, and that kind of a thing. The amount of cost on materials might also be a make or break of whether or not you make that character or not. My most expensive one I'm looking at right now is going to be the White Witch from the Chronicles of Narnia. So she's Jadis when she's in that big white and the ice crown. She's got like the mink, like that whole thing.
So
that
is
going
very detailed. That's very detailed costume.
It's beautiful, but it is going to be so expensive. And so because of that, she's on the back burner. Next thing, and this is a pro tip from old Shan, is set up a timeline for when you want to have this character done and start abiding by that timeline. So if I have a con in 3 months, then the White Witch is not going to be a great idea for that 3-month timeline. So I am going to do Azula instead, and I'm going to buy the materials now, and I'm going to work on it for 2/3 of it, and then the last third is going to be fixes or that kind of a thing. And then decide on a deadline, and then set your timeline. I have ADHD. It's just one of the fun attaches I have of some of my mental health struggles, and it helps a lot to keep yourself on a schedule. So make a schedule, stick to it. And then after you get your costume done, like for the first time when you can actually step back and look at it, go, okay, put it on, wear it around the house, do a photo shoot, those kinds of things. And by the way, you don't need to spend a ton of money on a photo shoot, but go out and take pictures in it, because that will be the quickest way for you to learn what doesn't work, what's uncomfortable, what doesn't look very good,
Yep.
what doesn't move very well.
Yeah, you
The
have to
amounts of
try it out for sure.
You have to try it out. Do not try it out at a con for the first time. Don't do that. That is a terrible idea, because now you're stuck in a building for 12 hours in a costume that's uncomfortable or falling apart or whatever else. Do a photo shoot first, is my pro
Mhm.
tip for you. After you do your first pass, you can figure out what needs to be fixed, what can be redone, what don't you like about it. Um, the amount of costumes I have made that look really good when you're sitting, but the second you try to lift your arms and you go, ah, oh no, like I can't. You have to. It's not good to drive if you can't lift your arms. Like
No,
it's,
no, it can be very uncomfortable, and then you don't know
oh
what you're
no,
damaging while you're sitting
oh
there either.
oh no. And when you lift up your arms and you hear pop, 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 and you're like, shh, just, yeah. So I highly recommend that you try out your costumes before you take them to a con. And then you can figure out what you want to fix and refine it that way. Um, this is a personal thing of mine. I don't think it's true for everyone, but I don't believe that there's such a thing as completing a costume. I truly do not. Even after you get it to where you want it to be and you go, it's technically, I have all the pieces made, technically it looks right, technically it whatever, there will always be things that you want to fix. There will always be things that you don't like, or this little piece keeps moving around, or this thing is loud, or I don't like the way this feels. Like, so you'll always be working on things. But for the sake of a schedule for cosplay, if you have a point where you hit and say, okay, this costume is done, I would like to work on other things, that's totally fine. But to me, costume cosplay is never complete, which is probably why I have 37 half finished cosplays. That's
I
a
only have
problem.
4, so
Oh,
but it's really easy to do. It's so easy to just want to
oh
like go
no.
just set one down and then start another one. And
Uh-huh.
yes, before you know it, it gets very out of control very fast, and suddenly you have like a dozen, and you're like, oh,
Oh dear.
But then
Yep.
there's this other one that I want to start. It just
Well, and
keeps
then
going.
that's what happens to me every time I run into an obstacle. So like I'll be working on something, and as soon as I hit a snag or hit something that I have to do again or that I can't figure out, I'll be like, well, I'll just put it aside and I'll figure it out later. And then 3 cosplays later, you think, hmm, shouldn't have set that aside. But this is my cosplay room that I'm actually sitting in right now. It is a mess. I mean, this is my creative space. So I've got a rack sitting on this side of me that has 8 costumes wrapped in plastic. I've got a closet back there full of costumes. The closet downstairs is full of costumes, and I have a wall of wigs. That's what this is right here. Those are all wigs. I call it my wall of wigs because I hang them up. But yeah, so that's my process from beginning to end. Do your
Mhm.
research, talk to your friends, ask for advice. If you find someone that's done this cosplay, just ask what they would recommend you do. But that also falls under my belief that cosplay is for everyone. So if someone approached me and said, hey, I want to do a Zula, I am more than happy to sit and talk to you about what I learned and what I would fix and all these things, because uh, cosplay is not meant to be the top dog. It's not. Cosplay is meant to enrich our lives and enjoy our experience and learn things and meet people and just make everything so much more magical, I guess. So I don't get the gatekeepiness that happens around cosplay sometimes. And so talk to your friends, talk to people online, learn as much as you can. It might save you a lot of money on having to rebuy materials, that kind of a
Yes.
thing. So that's my long process. Those are my 11 steps.
No, that's fantastic. I think that is wonderful for anybody coming to the show. They love to hear the process, and I'm sure that there are people taking notes, myself included, on how you're doing this. This is it's just a really good format to use, and you definitely want to do have some kind of plan for
Mhm.
doing these things so you can get them done and that you can enjoy it. Like that's the whole point is, and I'm guilty of this too, is I'll create one. I have a Joel Last of Us 2 cosplay that I haven't really done anything with for 6 months, just because I haven't had any time. But it's just kind of hanging out there and looking for more areas and opportunities to get into that character because I just enjoy doing it. And you're right, it's not done. It's passable, but there's so many more details that I want to put into it and just more accessories and just
Oh,
props and
yes.
things. It's very expansive, and that can happen with any cosplay that you do, whether it's from a
Mhm.
game or a book or a movie or anything. It's just
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. And I just love that you do have the process and that you have it really down to a science.
Mhm.
And it really does help. It does keep it from being a chore, I think. if you can keep things organized and going and feel that creativity and that flow in the
Mhm.
process, that's how it should be. Because
Yeah.
it shouldn't be not fun. And the gatekeeping is a bit of a problem. I do have episodes about that coming out actually very soon, or have come out. Depends on
Mhm.
depends on where we are in the universe right now.
Right.
But there are processes, but there's also goals that should be thought about too, in terms of a timeline for bringing a project together.
Mhm.
And I know, these are things that you think about too when you're looking at a big project with 15 people involved for a COSIS, and how it is just coming together. And there's a lot of intentions. And I know you have things that you're looking at for the group in terms of filming
Mhm.
and production and theater. Um, so what would you like to tell us about what's in store for bringing Court of Salt and Snow to life?
When I was working in Twilight, I very quickly learned that the only new content that we were ever going to see was going to be fan made. After the books were released, after the movies were done, after the extended versions of the movies had been released, all that stuff, there's just nothing else. Like you reach the bottom of the Twilight rabbit hole, right? And there's nothing. So all the stuff that's been created for Twilight has been fan made. And because of that, I have seen the basically the magic that can be made when fans put their minds to things. So for Akasas, our goal is we are trying to create quality social media content, and it is quality content because you want to be able to present it and be proud of it. And it, whether you like it or not, it's a resume of your competency, is being able to show the quality of the work that you do. So we make sure that we take good photos, which means professional photographers. We are constantly refining outfits, and right now we're working on the ears because the fan base really doesn't have a solid vision of what the ears look like, because all we have are fan art. We don't have like official, we don't have a movie, we don't have a TV series, we have like official licensed illustrations, but even then it's still an artist's interpretation. So
Mhm.
right now we're working on the ears. We are constantly refining how we look and how we act. That's a big thing that I am good at coaching, is I'm able to say, this is how you interact with these kinds of people, this is how you lead conversations, this is how you segue into taking a picture with people. Because when people meet you, especially if it's a character they love, they can become a little gobsmacked, they can get a little standoffish, they can, I mean, imagine like you meeting your hero, right? This would be like me meeting Michael Sheen in person. It would be like, you wouldn't know what to say, and you don't know what to do, and you're not really good at leading the conversation. So I coach them on how to lead conversations and how to end conversations, because they can drag on if the person is not really interacting, or if they're too nervous. We are also working on doing some short form video content. So I'm also a videographer in training, and I would love to put together some short little video clips. There is a cosplay group called I think it's called Starfall Court. You might have run across them. They are I want to say Scandinavian. They're definitely European,
Mhm.
but they made these absolutely beautiful video works of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and they did short little scenes, and they did beautiful photos. And I bring them up because, again, I believe in fans making content. So I there is there's no piece of me that looks at them and gets jealous. I look at them and I go, that is so cool. Like I just, and I love that they're doing the same thing, or they did. I don't know if they're still together anymore, but they're doing what we're trying to do, which is make something amazing by bringing people together. So
Mhm.
Starfall Court, if you haven't looked at their stuff, look at it. It's really cool. I follow the person that makes their Lucian. Their name, I'll have to toss you their handle later, but they are incredible. They do millinery work, which means they make hats. Like, do
Oh,
you know the science that goes into making hats? I
I
didn't.
I know a
Like,
little bit. I know a little bit. It goes back a long way,
oh
but
my
it is
God.
not
Yeah.
easy
Mm-mm.
to do, because there's so much shaping, and you have to, there's a lot of engineering that goes into this, and people don't think that there's really much to it. But yeah, it's hard to make a hat.
In Akatar, Lucian is my favorite. He's my baby, and I just want him to be happy. Okay, so um, and they cosplay Lucian, and so that's how I found them, and that's how I found their troupe and all of the things that they do. And that's the standard. That's the kind of work that we want to produce. Is we want to make good short video clips, and put a picture and illustration to moments in the book that we haven't seen illustrated, that are some of our favorites. We have a lot of things in store, and if this Starfall Ball takes off and the event company that we are working with decides to take it on the road, or if we have other events around the country that see us and say, "Ooh, they would be an excellent addition to this event," we might start traveling. I mean, like with Twilight, sometimes you just get contacted by people and they say, "Hey, can you come to this place and do exactly what you're doing?" Because we'd love to have you. So we have lots of really fun plans in store. But honestly, the goal right now is to just create a beautiful troupe and have beautiful friendships and just be the best that we can be. That's the goal right now.
The
Yes.
amount of detail and just the focus that you have and the determination and the discipline to bring it all into just this wonderful event. Yes, we'll definitely say a little bit about Bookbound's Starfall Ball. You can
Mhm.
find it online. I will have the bookboundevents.com links in the description so you can see it there. It's coming up in May, so you still have a little bit of time. There's still a few tickets left, so you definitely want to check this out. If
Mhm.
there's anything that you would like to say about the event, Shandra, please please pitch and plug if you'd like.
But so it's a 2-day event. It is May 27th and 28th. It is going to be a fabulous, immersive in-person event. So the schedule, as it stands right now, is that on day one we're going to have high tea, a scavenger hunt, and a book signing, and I believe a silent auction is going to be a part of this. But they really, the planners of this event understand that some of the biggest things that bring people together are common interests. So ACOTAR is already a common interest, but a lot of these people that are ACOTAR fans are also writers, are also illustrators, are also costumers, and they're bringing everyone together so that they can meet like-minded people, and that is so important. So High Tea is going to be an event where some of the characters are going to be, and they are going to enjoy high tea. We're also going to do a scavenger hunt around Salt Lake because there are some amazing places here, like cute little bookshops, cute little tea stores, cute little whatever, and it really is just a chance for people to explore Salt Lake City. That's also a part of the event because sometimes it's hard to go to an event and enjoy your time wherever you're going. So
Yes.
kind of does that. We're going to have a bunch of authors come that are going to be doing book signings and book readings, and it's going to be a really cool networking event for them. The silent auction is going to be going throughout this entire 2-day event where people can bid on artwork and cool little pieces and experiences and those kinds of things. And then day 2 is going to be the Starfall Ball. This is the highlight of the entire event. This is the banner of the whole thing. It is going to be an amazing event that is held in the state capitol. It's at the Rotunda in the state capitol building, which is a beautiful building. And we are going to have all of our characters there, and there's going to be professional dance. It's going to be an amazing event. And the more and more I talk to the event coordinators about it, the more I'm just like, they have this, their heart is in the right place. Their minds are where they need to be. They have the organization and logistical things that they need. Like I've seen what it takes to put on an event. That has an attendance of 300 or more people. Like I've seen those events, and they've got what it takes, and I think that is amazing. So the ball is going to be the big event. All of the characters will be there. We have all 15 of our, if I can name them off the top of my head, we have Feyre, Elaine, and Nesta, the sisters. We've got Tamlin and Lucian. We have Rhysand. We have Ianthe. We have Amarantha. We've got the inner court, so we've got, or the inner circle, so we've got Asriel, Cassian, Mor, Amren, Eris is also going to be there, which is one of Lucian's brothers, and then we have the Valkyries are going to be there. So Emery and Gwyn, I play Gwyn, is going to be there. I think I hit everyone, but it's going to be amazing. So even if you're coming by yourself, they know that there are people that are coming stag. So there are events that are planned for single people to find their people, right? So to be able to be adopted by another group of ACOTAR lovers. And I am so excited I can barely sleep at night. So
it is so exciting and just such a wonderful group, wonderful just the level of talent and the level of ability that you have and the things that you're bringing to this is just amazing. Thank you very much. He really just says it all from me. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Shandra, and sharing all of these wonderful things. Honestly, we could go on and on and on. This could be a 4-hour podcast to talk about all of the things that you've done, all of the examples, and just amazing, huge body of work that you put together in everything that you just have found a passion for. So thank you. Where can we, where can we find you and how can we support you online?
Oh, thank you. So thank you very much. Is my personal Instagram handle if you're willing to follow my cosplay and personal life. Forever ShAro is my Twilight cosplay account, so that's where you'll find all of my Forever Twilight and Forks appearances. You can follow A Court of Salt and Snow on Instagram. That is the group's Instagram account that I help run. And then my account for the Akasas group is Priestess Gwyn. I play Gwyn, and it's going to be so much fun. Those are the places that you can find us right now. I know that A Court of Salt and Snow is thinking about launching a Patreon page. We haven't really gotten there yet, but that's where you can find me, and you can ask me anything you'd like about how to build your own wonderful cosplay.
Yes, make sure that you're following, and make sure we will have everything in the description for the show and in the notes. This has been such a fantastic conversation, and I am looking forward to everything that the group will be doing in May and beyond. Friends, it has been quite a journey. Thank you so much for being here. This is Scotty B with thank you very much, saying bye-bye, everybody.